Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm Caroline Berger, and for those of you who are new to us, we want to extend a great welcome from the University of Arizona Health Sciences. I'd like to introduce you to us. We are the statewide leader in biomedical research and health professions training, which includes 2 accredited colleges of medicine in Tucson and in Phoenix, a College of Nursing, College of Pharmacy, and the Mel and Enid Zuckerman College of Public Health, which is just recently celebrating its 20th anniversary. We are very proud to provide cutting-edge health education, research, and vital community outreach services. We employ nearly 5,000 people, including 900 faculty members, and we have approximately 4,000 students. And also importantly, we are able to earn close to $200 million in research grants and contracts annually. This is very important, so we're able to lead the way in some breakthrough research, including the COVID-19 antibody testing this year. Again, as I mentioned, we have 2 campus locations, one at main campus in Tucson, and also in downtown Phoenix at the growing biomedical campus. Once we get things up and running again, hopefully next year, we would love to invite you to come out and tour our campuses. We're very proud of them. Our division is led by Dr. Michael Dake, who serves as Senior Vice President for Health Sciences. And we invite you to learn more about us. Please visit us at uahs.arizona.edu. And there's lots of late-breaking news and events coming up, so we encourage you to follow us on all of our social media platforms, and a special invitation to follow me on Twitter at CEBerger. And again, welcome from our team. We have a wonderful team. We're new to the university, led by our Executive Director, Allison O'Toole, and also my great colleague in Tucson, Anne-Marie Medina. And it is our honor to be here on Wednesdays with you and present this helpful information. And hopefully you can get a little bit of a break today. If you're enjoying lunch, please feel free to do so and sit back and have some great information for you. We want this to be interactive today, so please feel free to leave a question in the chat function, which you'll see at the bottom. Immediately following our presenter, you'll have the opportunity to engage and also interact with us. So we invite you to join us, please. Immediately following this, you will be receiving a post-session email, which will include a brief session evaluation, as well as links and resources to all the information that's going to be shared today. And this is being recorded, so you will get a video link, a YouTube link, so you feel free to go back out and check out the session, or feel free to pass it along to share with family, friends, and also on your social media outlets as well. And then in addition, if you happen to miss some of our past sessions and want to revisit them, you'll get those links as well. So lots of good information, and be on the lookout for that. And now I'd like to introduce you today to a very important topic. We've gotten a lot of feedback from you as well as lots of our other attendees. Being parents, being grandparents, or caregivers of children, these are very challenging times that we're facing right now. And we want to be there to be able to support them as best that we can. So that's what we're talking about today, supporting your children's well-being through difficult times. And it's my pleasure to introduce James Naughton, who's the Employee Assistant Counselor at the University of Arizona Life and Work Connections. James?
Oh, thank you very much. Very glad to be here today and spending our time together on a very important topic, and that is supporting our children, our families through one of the most, difficult times in our history, especially since the last 100 years. And so we're going to take time to review some important ways that we can be more present and supportive, not only for our children, but also for ourselves. Because if we don't stop first to take care of ourselves and see what we need, it's hard to come to the aid or be of service to those that we love and care about. So we're going to spend some time exploring that today. So I'm going to go begin with share screen. My background is I come from the Life and Work Connections, which is part of the Human Resources Division of the University of Arizona. And presenting today on this topic, this was adapted from a work I did with Lourdes Rodriguez, who is also in child care and family resources, a senior coordinator with Life and Work Connections. So I did want to give credit where credit was due. before we begin. So I'm going to go ahead and start now and look at the first slide. And let's see. So what we're going to talk about first is the importance of a strong parent-child relationship. And this will look at various signs that we are in a strong parent-child relationship, what its purpose is, and how important that is in terms of how we can support our children. And again, it can be grandchildren, it can be any care taking role in a family relationship, as long as it's just any adult that's responsible for the well-being of a child. We see these child-parent relationships. We're also going to look at ways to support and model effective responses to distress. As we know, throughout past 100 years of research into how distress affects families and family systems, children look to us to know what to be worried about, what to pay attention to. And so what we pay attention to and how we respond to it is going to be an indicator for them as to what to respond to. So we're going to spend some time talking about that, to be mindful in those responses. And also, we're going to take some time to consider our own resiliency plan. How do we not only face an adverse condition, but also how do we return to equilibrium, or how do we bounce forward with it with maybe some new awareness about ourselves and maybe some more resources within ourselves to face other difficulties that may be coming in the future. So I'd like to start with this quote, these two quotes here, which in part is really to acknowledge that one, being a parent or caregiver is not easy. And there's no such thing as the perfect parent. So I want to just be clear that this presentation assumes that that is neither the goal, that actually part of being a great parent or caregiver is being perfectly imperfect. So I like the quote from D.W. Winnicott, who was one of the founders of family psychology and family systems, that he would rather be the child of a mother who deals with all the inner conflict of the human being than be mothered by someone who knows all answers and is a stranger to doubt. And also Sharon Slam's quote from her recent book on what is the good enough parent or parenting. And that's really just being able to understand what's in the mind of our child. So being able to see things from their viewpoint too is a way of really mediating our responses and being more present for them. So the parent-child relationship, what does that do? Well, primarily what we're looking at is a relationship that is providing the physical and emotional and social development of the child. And this is setting up a foundation for the child's personality and the life choices and the behaviors that they engage in. So when we're engaging with them, no matter the circumstances, it's always about learning. The learning is constant for a child. So our engagement with them, whether it's play or helping them with homework or how to engage in creative activities, how to relate to others, it's all education. And we're helping them grow socially, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And this all happens in the magic of social engagement. So as we're relating to them and they're relating to the world, they're learning all about how to listen, how to relate, how to play, how do I face adversity, how do I define it, what are my core beliefs? And a lot of times they're learning directly from us, the parents or the caregiver, on how to moderate who they are while they're being who they are, how to be accountable, how to own feelings, how to identify wants and needs, how to protect themselves, solve problems, and know where their inherent self-worth comes from. And also throughout this engagement, neurotic on the levels of the brain itself and the cortex is they're developing structures to regulate cognitive capabilities and more complex emotional social experiences. So engagement is so primary in the children developing those structures, especially when they're dealing with difficulty or uncertain times. And this quote by Yuri Bronfenbrenner, he was a developmental psychologist and defined the ecological theory of family, really talks about this engagement being so important because children need people in order to become human. And it's primarily through observing, through playing and working with others and younger than him or her or themselves, that a child discovers both what he or she or they can do and whom he, she, or they can become, and they develop their ability and their identity. So it's not that we have to be engaging with children all the time, but it's also moderating other things that remove children from engagement. Like, while we're relying a lot on social media and Zooming these days, it's important to have conversations about what we're watching and what we're doing as part of that parent-child relationship, and keeping that communication open. As Yuri Bronfenbrenner would say, is like, he wasn't so much concerned in his day about television as much as what conversations weren't happening when children were watching. So it's really learning how to engage children, because those are really developing other structures in their brain to be able to modulate and know who they are. And features of a strong child-parent bond, that's where, as an adult in that relationship role, we are being mindful that what our words and our actions are doing are having an influence on how we want our child to be behaving. And that also, as a parent or adult caregiver, that we're following similar practices in our own words and actions. So while what we're saying is important, it's even more important what we're not doing, or what we're not saying through our actions and our nonverbal content. And as a parent or adult caregiver, we are actively participating and involved in the child's life. For a child to feel a sense of agency or efficacy, especially when things are difficult or uncertain, it's knowing that what they're doing, what they're feeling, and what's going on for them is important and real. And when someone is there to witness and hold those experiences, it's creating those structures in their own brain, but also it's creating the experience that what I'm doing matters and makes a difference. So that includes even monitoring and paying attention to what's going on in their life as well. It allows them to know what's important and allows them to develop a healthy sense of what to attend to. And adversity, there are normative events in our life and children's lives developmentally where there are challenges, and there are non-normative ones like what we're facing now. But they're all opportunities to learn how to struggle well. And certainly the work of Emma Walsh and her work of the family resiliency perspective, she looks at these opportunities when adversity comes. It's an opportunity for these bonds to where the family and the parts of the family can develop these abilities to withstand and to rebound from stressful life changes, and to emerge strengthened and more resourceful, and to create the potential for personal and relational growth. So it's a chance for the whole system together to grow and to develop these capacities to face other forms of stress or distress along the line. And where do these sources come from? What are those structures within a family that could help a family model? And it's through the interacting and receiving and feedback that they get from each other. And what domains are being engaged with between a child and a parent are the beliefs of that relationship or that pair. Especially during adversity, it could be supporting things like, it's okay to have a certain range of feelings, that all feelings are okay, or it's normal to feel the way that you do, especially during this difficult time, and supporting positive outlooks and seeking purpose, maybe through community or activity, or supporting the family in small ways, even with small children, helping with doing certain tasks like putting the dishes away or things. Those help children develop a sense of control of their situation. But beliefs that orient kids to action and positivity are going to help them come together. And how the family comes together are these organizational patterns. And, families that are more flexible and pliable in difficult times tend to be able to support each other better versus these very fixed roles. So families that know and can talk about how they can support each other are going to thrive differently. And also, beliefs that support the value of feelings and thoughts and perceptions are going to come out in communication and problem-solving processes that are going to be more moderated and respectful. So instead of family systems that are relying on, they're not communicating directly, or they're what we call relating behind a wall where we're trying to look okay. Well, the best thing we can do for our kids is also show honesty and clarity with what we're feeling, but also that what we're feeling is okay, and we can talk about those things and we can listen to each other, that we don't have to pretend, but we can learn how to talk about who we honestly are and feel. And all of these interconnect in the relationship and through these systems within the family to support and develop this kind of well of resources where the beliefs support the family, how the family comes together, and how they communicate, support each other. So we can support our children and ourselves by what we're doing for ourselves, translating into what our, how we're engaging with our children. So how well we take care of ourselves is going to come into and integrate every aspect of our life. And it's going to engage how we respond or react to our children. And one way to kind of think about it is this M3 concept. And one way we can, as adults, be present for ourselves and others is, we are monitoring and supporting our children by asking questions with them, paying attention to what's important to them. And also, while we're talking to them, we're helping them understand their own reality, setting limits with behavior and activity, and encouraging positive adaptive choices. We can also demonstrate that too in our own behavior. We can be mentors, guiding children through their adolescence so they can become happy and healthy adults, and modeling what it is to be human. Not perfect, but letting them know and modeling what kind of example they can be, or what kind of adult they can be, by modeling healthy and adaptive behaviors. And so the ways that we can do that through monitoring is maintaining open lines of communication with our child, no matter what their age is, and to maintain those, to tell, your child what your own thoughts are and ideas are and why they are valuable to you. Children want to know what's important to you. They want to understand how you think and how you feel. It informs them on how to think and feel and process their own feelings. And also to be aware of what our child is watching and playing or listening to. Children be getting information from all kinds of sources. It's important to play an active part in what that is and titrating that to some extent, also to protect their reality as well from outside realities that may not be, healthy for them or may be misinforming them. And we also want to be aware and present for who our child is spending their time with. Again, it's about protecting their reality, but also allowing them to understand what our concerns are and where we're coming from with them. And lastly, when giving direction, we can give direction, especially to adolescents, without being rigid, with openings to, questions like, the yes, only if questions, or that's interesting, why do you think that? Or supportive and curious exploration of ideas, like sentence stems like, I wonder if we try this or that. But creating these open-ended kinds of conversations so that children get to practice understanding their own process and how they come to decisions. And lastly, with mentoring, we want to be able to be in a way like that coach of a team where, on some objective level, we have that boundary where we want to support the strengths of our child or the child that we're responsible for, and recognize that while there may be vulnerabilities, we want to encourage those strengths. And when we're providing advice, we're able to stand back and watch and let the child make their decisions and recognize that they are responsible for their decisions, and allowing them to learn from their own choices. And we can point out things honestly to them without shaming. Like a player, we can tell them what's working, what's not working, and also be encouraged to hear what they think is working and not working. And like players, we're earning their trust. Every time they engage with us, they're building inroads to understanding what trust and healthy relationships are. And sometimes they may not want to talk, and that's okay too. And we can support their boundaries as well and say, we're here for you, or I'm here for you. So they know that we're a reliable source, even when times are difficult. And on the modeling aspect of it, simply we want to do as we say, and we want to do as we say and say as we do. We want to model congruence with our emotions and behaviors. We want to practice showing respect, honoring different perspectives, and that people have different needs and feelings, and learning how important that is and understanding a person's reality and that everyone has a right to their own. And also in any situation, especially ones that impact them, the best thing we can do for our children is practicing being honest, clear, and direct with them. And also to talk about them, about how you're feeling, keeping in mind that age appropriateness, but letting them know how you feel and what your experience is like also helps them understand their own experience. And some other things that are also helpful for supporting ourselves and our children, especially during this time of the pandemic, is while we're relating and observing ourselves being who we are and our children, we want to bear in mind the nature of the events that we're experiencing. One, that this pandemic has an uncertain time length. It's pervasive in terms of how it impacts us in the various areas of our life and our children's lives that impacts them. And the unpredictable nature of this circumstance and the feelings that might come up with unpredictability, and also the co-occurring unexpected bereavement. Life going on, there's losses that are occurring while this pandemic is going on. And for our children, how they experience it may be more on a concrete level. You know, what's affecting me now, what's going on right in front of me, you know, not being able to go to see friends at school or graduation or attend certain activities, even though that may not be, as for an adult's view, you know, not the grand picture of the implications of this pandemic, but it's whatever's important for them, listening to them, helping them talk about their feelings. That's what's more important right now than the larger picture, but it may be talking about validating their experiences, what they consider losses for them, and helping them identify their emotions, especially when they're young, by helping them say, you know, it's okay to feel sad or angry. Do you feel sad or angry, especially with younger children? But we want to just remember that where they're coming from their perspective, and how the pandemic affects them is different than how it affects adults. And most importantly, we want to look at parental self-care. So our own resiliency plan, you know, we need to say and think about it in terms of, you know, the old expression about, you know, when you're on a plane and they ask you to put your mask on first before you help someone else put their mask on. It's much like that with parental self-care, and how much we take care of ourselves and take the time to impacts our ability to affect and respond to how we take care of our kids. And to have this idea that mental health is not a side issue, it's mental health affects all health. And one thing that I thought was very important to bring out was this guidance that was from Dr. Jack Shonkoff from the Center for Developing Child at Harvard University. He knows how difficult it is for all of us if we're taking care of kids, and we have all this incredible unmanageability going on. And he, you know, coming around to how can we take care of ourselves? I like his approach. And he says, you know, with stress reduction for adults, let's just keep it simple. Let's start small. Let's just consider some basic ways for you. Maybe it's just taking breaths, brief meditation, some diaphragmatic breathing, just for a few minutes. Just, it doesn't have to be complicated. And, you know, if our child is playing or, and instead of saying, oh my goodness, I'm not interacting with my child, let's take that time for them to play and let's just relax. And also, you know, don't be afraid to ask for help. This is an extraordinary situation. Many adults, a large percent of them, at least 20%, who have other co-occurring mental health conditions themselves, it's very easy for them to be pushed to certain limits. So we encourage people, please ask for help. Reach out to those resources that are out there. It's really how all of us are going to get through this together, is by asking for help. And it's a step towards resiliency. And a part of that too is forming these lines of communication with family and friends. The larger those social support networks are, the more we can be able to be present for ourselves and others. And one last thing I want to suggest here too is, you know, there are domains and areas of our life that we can do to promote emotional regulation and improve our distress tolerance. Activities that help us get out of our head, any kind of creative expression, really just go for it on certain activities that help you just get out of your head, no matter what they are, just practicing them and trying to use that as a way of giving yourself some space internally. Discovering what boundaries are and what your limits are. And internally, that can be separating out your reaction to what's going on to who you are. That we are, saying, even affirming that I am me and I am not my suffering, or I am me and I am not this situation. Drawing that line and remembering that we are enough, that we have enough, and that we've done enough is really important in maintaining those internal boundaries and not to get stuck into states of where we're becoming the emotion versus having the emotion. We also want to be around people who can help us be who we are. So keeping good company of people who we know for sure who can listen without giving advice and just let us be. We can also take time, especially if we're remote working, to kind of really look at what do I need and what don't I need right now, and when it's become necessary for me to ask for help, and really kind of being aware of those internal processes for yourself, and also practicing some self-acceptance. Some last things, I'm just going to jump ahead here, is being okay with not having the answers, being able to practice sitting in silence, mindfulness, not mind numbing, mastering the art of the possible, really just taking that opportunity to say, what can I change and what I can't, looking for those good mirrors in your life, and take the time to develop your own self-care menu of what self-care habits have been helpful for you in the past to help you be present and be there for yourself. Again, I just want to thank everybody, you all, for being here today. I thought you'd be amused by this image. This particular alligator in India has a big job. He's a dad, but look at all those kids. So we might feel like this too. So even an alligator probably needs a break. And I support all of you in taking those small moments throughout the day to honor yourself, because when you do, you honor everybody in the family, especially those that we love the most. Thank you so much. Thank you, Caroline.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And that is quite a picture there.
Yes.
It kind of sends chills down my spine, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
But you make such good points here. I mean, I am a parent myself of 3. And particularly in these times we're wearing so many different hats, new roles that have come upon us, anywhere from being, working from home, now becoming our child's teacher, PE coach, behavioral specialist, and everything else. And I love the example that you share of the airplane, where, give yourself the oxygen first, make sure that you're in good shape, and then go ahead then and share that on. So it's just been wonderful. We do have some questions here, so I'd like to go ahead and present these. What about families where one or both parents are dictators and there are no open lines of communication?
So, I'm making up that this might be an outside family member maybe asking that, or
Possibly.
possibly, yeah. Well, that is a challenge, especially if the family or those family members may have demonstrated in the past that they're reluctant, and it could be just really valuable to let them know that the ways that you can be supportive to them, make it an invitation as well. Or you can even just ask a reflective question, like, if there are ways or some ways that I can support you or your family, your children, I'm open to hearing those ways that I can be supportive to you and kind of meet you where you're at. So sometimes we have to kind of open the door or set up the room in which they metaphorically can step into and talk about that. And maybe the only way that we can support them is maybe just listening in terms of what is going on for them and just being that good supportive listener. So everyone is at a different stage in terms of their readiness for support and listening, and depending on what they believe, but we can let them know the ways that we're open and available to support them, and even to invite them to let them know that you're open to hearing from them ways you can be supportive to them.
Okay, that's great. This is great. This is a great question. Very true to my heart. I have a 16-year-old son. What is the best way to help your teen who wants to spend time with their friends and may not do so in a safe way?
Yeah, they want to spend time with their friends. This is the hardest time for adolescents who are just engaged and ready to be social and connect with their friends. And also hearing that, some concerns about connecting with them in a safe way. And I think this may be an opportunity to talk about having one of those conversations, about an open-ended conversation about the the boundaries, and also the concerns themselves about what are those dangers, and opening up the conversation to, would they be interested, or I wonder if you'd be curious to look and learn more about together as a family, why there are these concerns at this time with the pandemic. Why do we need to be practicing physical distancing? And it can be an activity that both the parent or the adult and the adolescent together can do and learn together and discover. And you're looking at some reliable resources, even going to the CDC website, which has a lot of great material, discussion material that you can have with your family, with kids at various ages, to talk about, this is why we're concerned about your safety, and these are our limits, and this is where we're coming from and why we're concerned about your well-being. And at that point, it's about having an open-ended conversation about that, versus a directive type conversation, because I think that at that point, the more energy you push at them, the more that they're going to push back. So creating open-ended conversations and inviting them to learn more about why there are these concerns, and creating an opportunity to learn something together.
That's great. That's great advice. All right. I'm going to go ahead, if I could ask you to close down that lovely picture, and then I will share my screen now. Want to encourage everyone who is attending today to be sure, we talked a lot about self-care and things that you could do. And that's really the whole purpose of us offering these Wellness Wednesdays, is to be able to give you a little bit of respite and some good information that you can take back and you can help for your own health and well-being. And with that said, we want to invite you next week, not only yourself, but bring one of your favorite furry friends with you, or your pet with you, and join us for the benefits of pet partners, helping humans achieve mental, social, and physical wellness. We're going to be joined by Inga Koopman-Leva, who is the Director of Education and Community Outreach for the Humane Society of Southern Arizona. So that is going to be fun. It's interesting, a lot of people who didn't have a pet at home, I know in the last couple of months have decided to add that certain person to their family now. So, bringing a lot of warmth and comfort. And with that, we want to encourage you to send us a photo or photos of your favorite pet. Please send them to Anne Marie Medina. Her email address is there, and we'll be sure to include this in the post email as well. And that is Anne Marie with her fur grandbaby. And then there I am with my four-legged coworker who's sitting here diligently beside me. And I have to say, the loves of our lives. So we understand and appreciate and celebrate this. And we want to see your pictures as well, your family. So it'll be fun. So join us next week. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of Allison, Anne Marie, and myself, we enjoy this time that we have together. Thank you again to James. Wonderful, wonderful advice. So encouraging as well. It's always nice to hear these things and to get that extra motivation. And as always, we invite you to stay safe, masks up, and bear down. Have a great week, everyone.